What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Talking Elite Fitness. I'm Sean Woodland with Lauren Khalil. Lauren, how are you?
I am fantastic.
Tremendous. Tommy, how are you?
I'm good. Getting close to games time.
It is. It is right around the corner. We have a jam-packed show today, so we're going to just jump right into stuff. We have Adrian Bozman is going to join us in our next segment, and then after that, we're going to have two-time Affiliate Cup champ Andrea Nisler on the show to help us go through a buy or sell version for the teams as we preview that competition. So that's going to be a lot of fun. So a lot to take care of today, but as always, we will start with our headlines. And first up, since this is going to be sort of a team-centric episode, we want to start with some team news. And we have some information about some of the events at least two of the events that the teams will be facing. The first, we will start with this one, Team Event 6. The Farrington 5 is a 5x400 meter relay. And some astute commenters, some people on social media, what do I want to do there? Let's do that. Said, well, wait a minute, there's only 4 people on a team. So how do you have 5x400? And there's a picture in the post, if you're watching this, of Big Bob. So this could be something where they got to push Bob, then they all got to run, then they push Bob, then they got to run, something like that. Or one person runs and they push, and it's a relay like that. And then like the final part is like a team. A team runs the 400 together.
Yeah,
that could be what we're looking at here.
It could be like, you push Bob 100 meters down. One person runs a full lap. Push Bob 100 meters so everybody runs a full lap, and by the time you're done, you've also pushed Bob 400 meters as a team, right? So that's the fifth one.
Be, yeah. But clearly going to be in the stadium, I'm guessing. I don't know where they can do this at Dickies Arena.
No.
Yeah, because this is event 6 for them.
So most likely going to be outdoors.
Yeah.
Makes sense. You'd have a sled on grass. So that's the first thing that we know about the teams. And the next was that picture of the massive paddleboard that Adrian Bozman posted on his personal account that has gotten shared as well. That looks like it's going to be team event 1. I mean, this thing is gigantic. Like it has you could land a plane on this. Like it's going to need some sort of clearance in order to make it probably out into the lake there in Texas. But it looks like it's going to fit 4 people on it. Don't know what the details of the event are. Right. You can fit 4 people.
You can lay down. One athlete can be tanning while the rest paddle.
That's probably true.
Where your head goes.
And we have so in the past we had the rescue thing that was in California. That was in Carson where they had the swim event. This is when they had teams of 6, and they had all hang on to that rescue sled when they were in the water. And that's the only other time that we've had any sort of waterborne implement for the teams. Correct, Tommy?
I think there may have been one other, but I'd have
We've done paddleboards for individuals. We've done kayaks for individuals. We've done. I know we did the litter for teams in Murph.
Yep.
But I don't think they've ever had. I don't think they've ever had anything like this. But
just double checking. I think you may. Yeah, they had kayaks for teams as well.
Mm-hmm. Let me see if I can get a picture of this thing. But it is ginormous.
The teams did a team swim paddle in 2019.
Okay.
I believe it was Saturday or Sunday. Let me find it.
Did they have a group paddle? Was it
they grabbed paddle boards? I think it might have been individual.
That's right. So this is only the second time where we've had like one thing that is designed to accommodate the entire team.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we know so far about the team competition. So interesting stuff. Like not surprising to see Big Bob make a return, and not surprising that they're always just sort of like some connective tissue between the individual and the team competition. So the individuals are going to do something in the lake. Teams are going to do something in the lake. Although the individuals, they don't have a paddleboard, the teams will. Okay, so that's really all that's been revealed about the team competition. Now we did have last week we had individual event 6 announced, and that is the field sprint. Then you rest, and then you run 1,600 meters. So I'll call that up for people who maybe haven't seen that post. But this is what it looked like. And that was announced actually like while we were on with our patrons on our Q&A on Friday. So we got a chance to have like an initial reaction to that, which I will admit, my initial reaction was not positive for a multitude of reasons, but I've since sort of backed off of that. Because this is at the time was all the information we had. It just looked like they're going to sprint the field and they're going to run 1,600 meters. Well, after that, Dave Castro then put a picture of this implement, the Happy Star by Rogue Fitness, which is like a sandbag shaped like a star. Now, some people noticed, again, astute studiers of Instagram saw like 170 pounds written on that thing. It's up on the top of the blue if you look at both. And Dave on his Q&A, his weekly or weekend review said, well, that's not the weight. He has no idea what that means. But now this isn't.
Well, it was inspired by Carl's Jr.'s chicken nuggets.
I mean, it looks
exactly that is my favorite part of the story. And then Dave talking to Bill and Katie to try to get a sandbag that looks like that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, his kids having a couple chicken tendies or chicken nuggies, and I mean, outside of novelty, let's be honest. You know, they could have the star tenders from Hardee's, Carl's Jr. like the third best fast food nugget. So we probably could have.
Yeah,
it's for shape only, not just function.
Yeah,
but we don't know how this thing is going to be utilized during that Friday Night Lights event, whether it's on the sprint, whether it's on the run, like what it is.
You felt like this should have been included first.
I think this should have been first because
this definitely should have been the leak first.
Put event 6. But then again, I don't know. Yeah. I mean, the more I think about it, the more maybe it was done the right way, because I feel like this added a little bit of intrigue. Whereas if you put this out, then you put the sprint out, maybe that's a little anticlimactic. I don't know. My initial reaction when that event came out was, okay, you're Friday night under the lights in a stadium on ESPN during the Olympics. And all you're going to show in that 2 hours looks like it's going to be running. That was before this came out. I still sort of feel that way. I think when you're on ESPN, it is a golden opportunity to really show people what CrossFit truly is, get CrossFit messaging across. And this is probably me being so involved with that process when we were putting the ESPN shows together, and how people like Justin Berg and Dave were very much like, hey, these are the messages that we want to get out there. This is what we want to tell people, because at the end of the day, we were trying to drive people into affiliates.
Yeah.
And you're trying to amplify the sport.
And I thought that if they did a repeat event, like if they did the track triplet from 2012, there's so many built-in storytelling elements that you could do. You could show the fact that this sport has been around for a good amount of time. And one of the tenets of CrossFit is observable, measurable, and repeatable. So we're going to compare to times that we had back in 2012. And just as a side here, Tommy knew that Daniel Tominski won that, but we all forgot that we had dumbbell snatches in 2021 in the hat trick event. So go figure.
Yeah. Which means I've lost a bet regardless, but I'm pretty confident. I'm pretty confident that you two will be joining me in the losers corner.
I don't know about that. I think bench press is going to show up. But I just thought that was a missed opportunity. Now they have 3 other opportunities on ESPN to do that type of stuff. But to me, it was just like, why are we just showing running in prime time on national television up against the Olympics when we could really be showing more of what CrossFit truly is? Now, maybe the bag will add to that, and there's some other things that will be added to the event that will do that. And like I said, I sort of have backed off that ledge just because I understood that, okay, there's 3 more. We only know what 3 events at the most, or 2 events, I guess. So there's still a lot of this that needs to play out. So it's really not fair to make that complete of a judgment yet. But this is the implement we're going to be using, and it'll be pretty cool.
Yeah, I like that we're adding a little bit of Texas flair to our equipment.
For sure.
I'm curious to see how it's used, but
Tommy, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, this feels like it's a cool piece. The first year in Madison, we had the cheese curd
Yep.
And the first year in Fort Worth, we have the Happy Star, which is also the name of a workout that he did in the 2020 games.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
which was thrusters and burpees over a barrier.
Yeah. It was called the Happy Star because of the way that the course ran. It made a star.
Yep.
Nobody was actually happy doing it.
Yeah.
That was a terrible workout.
Twist of irony. So, yeah, I mean, it's cool. But if it's as simple as like we're sprinting with the bag.
I don't think it is.
Yeah.
What else are they going to add out there? Because now remember, I'm assuming the teams are going to go before them.
Okay.
So you have the bobs and all that stuff out there. So it's not like you're going to have a ton of time to shuttle a bunch of equipment on and off the field. I don't know if they're going to build a rig out there. I doubt it. So what more can you do?
I don't want
at the stadium. It's not like this is a venue that they're using more than once.
It could be some sort of obstacle course, but then again, you would have to tear it down for teams. Whatever you do, if the teams are using the bob on that relay, then you have to make sure that area is clear for them, or the teams go first and they set up afterwards. But even then, you're playing with windows, so it's tough.
Yeah. I don't think this is going to be anything too complicated, just because of the time frame that they're in. They have a 2-hour ESPN window. I would bet that you don't want to leave or end that broadcast without knowing who won an event or where we stand going into the next day.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't, like, if you're going to run 1,600 meters on the track, men and women going separately, 40 athletes, that's quite a few heats, unless you're going to have a mass start.
So I wonder, how much flexibility do they have to save the final heats to go back to back for a broadcast window?
Yeah, they should be doing that.
Yeah.
Because if they were to do that, that gives a lot more flexibility for that window, because then you don't necessarily need to broadcast the earlier heats during that 2-hour window.
No,
not to say that this is what they plan to do, but in theory, if they were to do that, it gives
anyway on YouTube.
Right. Everybody else, yeah.
So there's a logistical thing of like talent and what they'll be doing at that time. That's the other puzzle you got to figure out, because they can't be in two places at once. You can't be going to break and calling action at the same time.
Yeah.
And with ESPN windows, you got to be hitting certain breaks, and there's probably going to be a look back at action that's like, it's not going to be all. I'm guessing it will be mostly live, because I think that's what they want to accomplish, is mostly during those windows have live competition. But at the same time, you do need to do some reviewing of the day end of the competition to let people know, hey, here's why we're here. Here's what we've done so far, and here's where we stand. It'll just be really, and like, what does that look like? So how many heats are you going to run? And that's why I don't think this is going to be something that is super involved, just because of the time frame you're working under here.
What is that in your protein shaker? Is that paint thinner?
It's what
it like. Oh, maybe the way like it's stuck.
Almond milk and a scoop and a half of some protein.
The way it's stuck to the glass, it looked like, when they want to fake like milk is in the glass, they just put white paint in it.
All right.
Sorry.
Sorry to distract you. I got to get the gains in.
Yeah. Okay. Well, get the gains in, and we will continue to speculate on what that individual thing is going to be. But that's all we know, really. We have details on 2 teams, and kind of, I guess it's 2 or 3 individual events if you count the sprint, which I don't know if they're going to be scored separately. I'm guessing they will be sprint.
Yeah. And I don't know. I hope it's cool, because typically, like, the biggest spectacle event has always been like Saturday night,
Mm-hmm.
But I think with the messaging of Friday and Friday Night Lights and being your one shot outdoors, new implement like this, I don't know, Friday night could be something that I feel like is an opportunity to take advantage of.
Agreed. But remember, they still have 3 other ESPN windows. That's 6 hours of competition that they have remaining. So, but I'm with you. Like, when I first heard it, I went, really, on the event you're going to do outdoors, and this is before I knew about the sandbag. Obviously, I think that makes things a little more interesting. But we'll see what they're going to do. It'll just be. I think you have to maximize the amount of time, like you really have to take advantage of the time when you're on national television to drive home what the sport is,
Absolutely.
what the history is, what the core tenets of CrossFit are, why you should go to an affiliate if you're not someone who already does. And that's hard to do in 2 hours. It's hard to do, but the event itself can help you do that. And that's why I thought maybe this would be a repeat of what they did in 2012 at the track, because there's so much history there that you can talk about.
Yeah, in years past, we've even had themes for each window, right? Like, hey, like this is one of the tenets we want to focus on Thursday. This is one of the things we want to focus on Friday or Wednesday or Saturday, and that kind of guides our coverage to an extent. You still have elements of each every day, but you start to hammer home one or the other, because if you do start to catch people along the way and they do go back and look, you get little emphases that like hammer home these people that are new. And if they're just like trying to digest stuff constantly, then they'll get a clear picture with everything that you do in those 4 windows. But especially if it plays back in syndication too, which sometimes it has,
For sure.
like sometimes they'll run it back later on down the line.
Yeah, and there may even be, in the past, they've done post-production shows where they take everything that they shoot live and they boil that down into like 4 or 5 shows that encapsulate the entire competition with some live action and with some storytelling and stuff in there too. So that can be accomplished as well, which is, again, why I am glad I did not give my sort of visceral immediate reaction and had time to sort of think about things a little bit and put it into perspective. Okay, before we get to Boz, let's get to our weekly segment, our dog of the week, as we are partnering up with Barbells for Bullies in the dog days of summer to get some dogs some homes. And this week's dog of the week is Stella. There she is.
Pretty girl.
It's an absolute gorgeous pup. She's a 4-year-old female who's energetic and intelligent, loves kisses. She's a yard guardian, so if you're someone who's got some property, ideal. Knows some commands, is a little bit dog selective, so you want to keep that in mind.
I'm human selective, so.
I am too. Currently located in Columbus, Georgia, at Paws Humane. She is highly intelligent and active. I love to play and exercise. Of course, don't we all? She is looking for a home with active individuals and no small children or animals, as she has an excellent prey drive. Okay, if Stella looks like a good fit for you, reach out to Paws Humane today. So that's at Paws Humane. You can check them out on Instagram. Or if you're out of the area and you really want to give Stella a chance, get a hold of Barbells for Bullies. Alex and Lindsay do fantastic work. They are willing to, and have in the past, facilitated out of state, out of area adoption. So they are willing to work with you. So either hit them up on their website, barbells4bullies.com, or check them out on Instagram. And hey, if you guys have any dogs out there that, hey, this dog is at the shelter, we need to get it adopted, send it to us and we'll try to make them our dog of the week as we continue to try to do some good here in the summer and find these dogs a home. Let's shuffle through these here. Oh, Renegade Training. Okay, there's the thing. And then Barbells for Bullies also doing a community workout. And if you just like Barbells for Bullies and what they do a lot of competitions at local gyms to help benefit local shelters. So if you're a gym that says, hey, we'd like to do something fun, involve our local community here and get some money raised or get some supplies for our local shelter, they will help you do that. They do a thing called Helen for Hounds. They also just will help you, do a local competition that can benefit your local shelter or rescue too. So get a hold of them at Barbells for Bullies or barbellsforbullies.com and check out all our dogs of the week. And let's try to get these dogs a forever home. Before we get to our interview with Adrian Bozman, we want to thank our sponsor for today, and that is Thirdsy, collagen-based drink powder that helps with joint and connective tissue repair and has ingredients like magnesium, L-theanine, and GABA that are included to help calm your central nervous system and support deep and REM sleep. The stuff tastes great. I look forward to drinking it every night, and it has been an absolute game changer for me when it comes to my sleep. And I have my friend Jason in our 5 a.m. group who was looking to get some supplements. I told him about Thirdsy, and he tried it. He absolutely loved it. I am now sort of like his Thirdsy supplier. Like he orders and uses the code. I'm like his guy. You gotta get that Thirdsy. And he was saying that his wife actually is now upset at how deeply he is sleeping because I guess his 3-year-old son woke up one night and was calling for him, and he did not wake up. So
oh my God,
very deeply, and he has been. It's shown because the guy's a savage at the gym. He's like he's like Chad McKay. He is big, moves, like flexibility is off the chart, and he is strong as an ox. So
and gets good sleep.
He gets very good sleep. If you guys want to check out Thirdsy, and I
for success.
cannot recommend it highly enough, Thirdsy.com, use the code TEF, and you will save 20%. By the way, melatonin free, which is great because there aren't a lot of products out there that are geared towards helping with sleep that don't have melatonin, because
non-habit forming, Dewey,
will mess with your hormones, and it can be habit forming. So none of that stuff in there, and it's absolutely
only
fantastic.
The good stuff.
That's right. And you can get the travel packs if you're going on the road. Those are a godsend. But Thirdsy.com, and the code is TEF to save 20%. Or you can scan the QR code on your screen right down there. There it is. Just scan it. Takes you right to the website, TEF, and you'll save 20%. Let's bring in our good friend who has impeccable fashion and music taste. Competition Director Adrian Bozman. We are both representing our Zigzag shirts.
Man,
Boz,
zigzags. I mean, maybe we should just talk about zigzags. That's what the people really want to hear about, right?
I think it is. Well, if I have to, Boz I've been lucky enough to have turned me on to a couple of like bands, two of which, or the two are King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, because their last album, it's fantastic. And then Zigzags. So those are the two that I have to credit you for. So anytime that we interview, I try to put this shirt on as sort of an homage to your musical taste.
Mm-hmm. Well, hey, I appreciate it, and I think probably questionable to many, but it's nice. It's nice when there's one or two people out there that appreciate. So, yeah,
absolutely.
Thanks.
Well, we were just talking before we came on here. You are just head down, really focused on what's going to be taking place in Fort Worth here in a couple of weeks, and you are primarily focused on the teams. So, how was that decision made that you would be taking the lead there, and Dave would sort of be taking the lead on the individuals?
Yeah, sort of. So kind of two things in that. Number one, yes, in terms of programming. So Dave is, heading up indies in terms of programming. I'm heading up teams. But as far as like my responsibilities to make sure that we have plans on how to run these events, and, the judges that we need, and all of the things that integrate into the competition to actually run it, I'm still very much in charge of those on both sides of the house. So, I think it's easy for the public to look at, these large competitions and look at one aspect of it. It's like, oh yeah, it's programming. Well, yeah, that's the most forward facing element of it, but there's a ton of other elements and planning that goes into making sure that a competition is run smoothly. And so I'm very much involved in that. But as far as programming is concerned, yes, teams and how it came about, Dave being back this year, it came back kind of midstream right before last year's games. I had programmed most of that, and we were, 11th hour. And so we did do some changing of last year's events with Dave's input, but largely it was already set. You know what I mean? So we did temper it somewhat with his review and input. This year he started running with it. I had done majority of the open, the quarterfinals, the semifinals, age group semis. We worked, hand in glove with those guys. And he started running with it, and he texted me and said, look, I'm really in the process here. I am like super fired up to do it. I want to take indies. And it's like, yeah, of course, go for it. I think that you're going to get a better outcome anytime you have somebody who's like genuinely enthusiastic to do it, and is actively pushing aside kind of outside influence because they are so invested in it at that time. It's like, yeah, great. Run with it. Let me know when you're ready. I'll be happy to give my feedback and see what we can do to make it as good as we can.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then I guess focusing on the team programming, I don't know how your own personal process operates, but is it like a completely different hat for you to basically be like, I gotta reshift everything now to focus on the teams? Because at the highest level at the games, it's a little bit different beast.
Sort of. Again, it's not that I've had any, lack of experience programming for the teams. Like, I've done the teams the last couple of years at the games, done teams in various stages along the way, semifinals and quarterfinals, you know what I mean? So it's not that it's a foreign entity to me, but you're right. It does have its own sense of challenge. And I will say this year that what kind of emerged, and you guys will see this as more and more elements are announced, is that the teams are going to follow pretty closely to some of the events that the indies get to do. Not all the time, but there is going to be a pretty strong element of that. And for me personally, I think that there's a time and a place that works really well. we've experimented with that over the past, and I think the first year of quarterfinals, each division had a pretty similar programming set, and it was not well received. You know what I mean? And that's something we learned from. We're like, hey, let's not do that again. But there was also separation there where you had the same athletes doing the same things over and over again. Like, I totally get it. Not a great expression. However, when you're at the games and you have some of these like incredible set pieces that you can only have at the games, and these kind of one-off elements that you don't get to do anywhere else, it's like, why wouldn't you try to get the teams involved in some of those aspects as well? Obviously modified to make sense for a 4-person event versus an individual event. But yeah, that's going to be something that I think people pick up on pretty quickly, is that, hey, there's going to be a lot of crossover between what some of the individual events are and how they get experienced, and how the teams get to play as well.
How do you and Dave make each other better at programming?
Oh man, we're not afraid to push back hard
Yeah.
on each other. That's one of my favorite things about Dave and I's relationship. And, we're lucky in the sense that, maybe it's not lucky because it's been so long, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
We've been working together since 2006 or 7. And in that, we've had some times where we see eye to eye on everything. We've had some times in there where we don't see eye to eye on much. You know what I mean? And at this point in our relationship, man, we are very comfortable shooting each other very straight. And so when something appears like it's just not going to work, or there's an obvious hole in it, or, whatever the case may be, it's like from either end, we are very comfortable being like, hey, this approach might be a little bit better, or, maybe this is something that you hadn't thought about, etc. Or on the other end, like, I think we're both pretty comfortable doubling down when we have an idea that we're like, no, man, I hear your feedback on this, but I think we got to run it through. I want to put the flag down. This is what I want to do with it. And I'm confident that even you might not see it, but I want to do it this way. And we're comfortable with each other enough that in those scenarios, it's like, okay, you let it go. So I don't know. It's a fun relationship to be able to be that honest with people. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And maybe digging into that a little bit, is there certain areas, if you had to characterize, where, I don't want to say blind spots, but where that willingness to call each other out usually takes shape? Like, for example, like if me and Sean were programming, I'd probably be throwing a little bit more gymnastics and running into the mix than he would. We might be seeing a little more machine work, maybe some wall balls and moderate barbell stuff.
Yeah, I think less obviously than you would think.
Really?
Yeah. It's funny. The time that I got to spend in the driver's seat, I think people want to pigeonhole me particularly as having a certain flavor or style where it's, it's all just circus tricks and whatever else. Yeah, okay, that might be true for 1 or 2 of the events that you see that are really high profile. But I mean, there's a huge track record in there of online events, open events, quarterfinals events, online semis events that are very classic CrossFit.
Yeah.
And so, like, looking at it through that lens, there's less obvious kind of traits that I think either one of us has. What I will say, I think Dave, he can favor like the grunt work a little bit more than I might, you know what I mean? And yeah, I think that I can push the skills further than he might. But within that, I think people would be surprised at some of the ideas that either of us has for one another that are from those domains that you would expect from the opposite person, if that makes sense. I feel like I'm not putting that out there in a way that's easy for people to pick up on, but at any rate.
Yeah, I mean, it would make for a great like docuseries or something like
for
that.
sure.
If you could look into that,
Maybe, yeah. Or it might be more boring than people think. They're like, oh yeah, it's just a normal working relationship, and these guys like have crafted this for a long time, and it's just doing the work. You know what I mean? Not everything is that compelling.
Team
but
program.
That's not for me to decide either, right?
Yeah.
I mean, who's to say what people find interesting?
Well, team programming and team events, I think they just present there's such unique challenges, obviously, because this the amount of people you have on the floor and keeping track of everything. What have you learned about the things that have got to be included in a team event, just from a general perspective, to make it not only a good test, but also one that's watchable for fans?
Oh, I think you said it right there. The hardest part about teams is trying to make it approachable for the lay person or somebody who's not like directly involved with the team on the floor. team events can be chaotic. I think we've all seen it. You know what I mean? Where you're watching something, you're like, man, it looks hard, but I don't really know what's going on, and I don't know who's winning.
Right.
And so that is a big challenge with team events, is trying to make a story out of each heat and to try to make it presentable. So that's always something that we're trying to refine and make that better. As far as like must-haves, I'm a big believer that you have to have 2 elements in a team competition. Maybe not in perfect balance, but you have to have some elements where the team gets to decide, meaning, okay, the 3 of us are on a team, we're presented with a workout or an event, and it's up to us to maximize the strengths within our team and strategize around that. I think that's one aspect that needs to be there at least some of the time. But the opposite is also true. I think there also needs to be times where the team does not get a choice, and it's like, oh man, we're going to be radically exposed because we just don't have the option to hide our weak link on this event, and we're going to get punished for that. So I think it's finding that balance of both of those elements. At what point does the team get to decide and maximize? And at what point does the team just get funneled into a non-choice and they have to run with what they got?
Yeah, I love that. And then taking into account venue, right? Because we're starting with a clean slate again, first year in Fort Worth. And one of the things that I think has made the programming at the games so distinct is the ability to lean on themes of the surrounding area, as well as taking part of, like, we all think back to the Capitol and going down and leveraging those things. Where would you say the balance point is and how much you want to incorporate that on any given year? Is like, are we going to stick to an 80-20 rule, or is there anything like, hey, we gotta hammer something like this early to set the tone? Because we've already seen the Happy Star announced, and that has its own, Texas flair. And I was just curious where that is.
Great question. Within that, I think there's a couple different avenues to explore. The first is that, yes, of course, you want to try to make a unique stamp on whatever location happens to be hosting the game. I think, yes, that's important. Now, whether or not that's, even within the top 3 decisions that you're going to make when you're crafting the event, I don't know. I think those are more kind of opportunities that come about organically as you come up with the best overall experience and test. Certain things start to emerge that you're like, oh, this would be a really cool thing to add on top now that we have a better understanding of the big picture. And I think it's easy to forget too. People have this recency bias where they're like, oh yeah, we utilized the city of Madison so well. It's like, yeah, we did. They had some really awesome lakes and some cool opportunities to get out of the Alliant Energy Center. But you take something as iconic as the Capitol. I mean, that didn't happen until the 5th year that we were there. Technically the 6th, because we had the year off for COVID, or at least the year at the ranch for COVID. So, it's not like these things just happen immediately. And I don't think that you have to, use that as like a primary decision maker. But yeah, I think it's great when you can capitalize on what you have there.
And do you feel? Did you guys feel handcuffed at all by the fact that the weather does pose a considerable obstacle to multiple outside events?
No, in short, no, because there's always ways to work around it when you are faced with constraints. There's no utopia. Put it that way. Regardless of venue, regardless of location, you're going to have constraints that you have to problem solve around. Texas being no different, Madison being no different. I mean, some of the extreme weather that would roll into Madison every year. The first event we were there. Oh,
yeah, I was
downpour.
just about to say.
Wow, there you go. So it's one of those things where there's always going to be something that constrains you. And so if you view it as, yeah, we're limited by that, I think that's a little bit strange, because there's always going to be those types of things. But if you view it as, okay, we know this challenge, we accept it for what it is, how can we work through it in a way that still expresses what we need to at the end of the day? You can get to some pretty cool endpoints. And yeah, I think everybody's going to see that as we go through Texas. I don't know if you guys have heard, but they tell me it's hot in Texas in the summer. I wasn't aware of that until a couple days ago.
Thanks,
just totally, we totally missed it somehow. Um, but glib answers aside, it's like, yeah, when you understand the constraints you're working with, you can problem solve around them, and you can come up in many cases, those constraints lead to creativity that's like, oh, cool, we wouldn't have thought to do it that way unless we had to. So sometimes it can be a hidden benefit.
Yeah.
There's some competitions out there that are messing with the team format, like the Wadapalooza, Tier Wadapalooza SoCal that's coming up here in a couple months. With the, we have 6 people, we're gonna have 3-on-3 and 2-on-2, and would that ever be something that would be appealing to try at the games level? And if so, why or why not?
I think the short answer is that teams have gone through a lot of changes over the years in terms of rule set, who's eligible, how many members of the team. Again, old school fans will remember. To me, it doesn't seem like that long ago. We had the 6-man teams or 6-person teams. So I can see that the format of the team competition changing. I no plans to do that in the short term, but yes, I don't see why we would be locked into a 4-person team forever. That doesn't seem realistic.
Hmm.
And I'm not trying to like allude to anything that we have plans for in the immediate future, but yeah, I think that there's a high probability that we'll continue to experiment with the best format for that competition.
What do you think is the shortcomings of the team division?
I think you nailed it already. It's difficult to follow, not just when you're looking at an event. There's lots of events that are great tests of fitness, but they are not great to watch.
Yeah.
That's true for the individuals and the teams. The challenge to make that a compelling spectator event on top of a legitimate test of fitness, that is compounded when you've got a bunch of people on the floor at once. And then if you take that and you zoom out a little bit, it can also be difficult to follow the team because you have so much roster change up from year to year. So you have now some of these entrenched kind of like perennial team favorites, but from year to year, they're radically different rosters. And so, I don't know that CrossFit teams are established enough that they have that kind of presence like a major sports team might, that can anchor you to it despite the fact that your favorite player got traded out or something. I don't know that we're there yet. There may come a time where we are, but I don't know that we're there yet. And as such, from year to year, man, you can have a completely different roster from a team, which makes it, as a fan, a little bit more difficult to follow, because are you following that collection of individuals and where they happen to end up? Or is it the legacy of that team that you're interested in? Maybe it's a bit of both. With the sport still being small as it is, it can be difficult to track those people through all of that. And you compound that across 7 different competition regions across the world, all the different teams that are involved on the local level. It can be a challenge to follow it. So I think that's the big one. Just followability, if that's a word, both on the event side itself and then through the season.
I'm always really interested about just someone's creative process and how you go from, okay, I've got to program X amount of events for this competition. Where do you start with that blank slate? And then what is sort of the process that you go through to get you to the finished product? Because I think there's some people out there that still don't understand, everything all the steps that go into programming this event. Because it's not like you guys throw something up on a whiteboard and you go, all right, there it is, next.
Yeah. Well, there's a reality, right? Like there is definitely that part of it where you are just throwing ideas on a whiteboard and you're like, ooh, I like this as an event. Cool. And then, a couple of weeks later, you have a better picture of the rest of the events. And that one that you really liked, maybe it doesn't fit, or maybe you start looking at the schedule on a whole and the equipment transition is an impossibility to try to fit it in where you originally had planned it. So you got to reshuffle, and maybe you got to insert it later in the competition than you originally planned or something like that. So there's a lot of moving pieces that happen after you've got those original concepts on paper. And a lot of that just has to be worked out as you go through it over and over again with the team. I mean, I was talking to my team today, and, the big picture is already done. There's, very little that is left to be completed, as it should be, right? Like we're a week and a half out. It should be pretty complete. However, there's a ton of things that we can still continue to refine by going through the run of show again and you take a day or two off from looking at it, and you come back, you look at it again, something jumps out at you. It's like, oh, we could make that better, or this transition could be easier this way, or it's more intuitive to see it, here instead of here, or whatever. And so those little pieces, I think, end up taking a lot of time as we get closer to the finish.
Speaking to one of those little pieces that you just mentioned, the equipment changing. I mean, that's something that I
Yeah.
think a lot of people don't even factor into it. And I want to hear your perspective on how much of a factor that is in being a cog in this kind of like well-oiled machine.
Yeah, it's huge. And shout out to the equipment teams and all the volunteer teams that come out every year. Literally could not do these events without the passion of those people behind it. And so anytime that I'm feeling cynical about CrossFit or, attitudes online or, whatever, just the general state of the world, I think about just the power of the people that show up, give their time for these events, believe in it enough that year over year, they're willing to come back and sweat it out with us. All for what? So that the show looks awesome and that people get to watch it from the comfort of their own home and hopefully get inspired enough to, go to their local affiliate or join up with a couple of buddies and try to get a little bit fitter, So there's a lot of power in that. I got a little off track talking about the volunteers, but it all kind of stems from these little pieces that go into making the show before and after the athletes are on the field of play. And they're huge, like each one of those small little puzzle pieces adds up to the totality of the event. And that to me is what makes the game so special. You know what I mean? Like I get it. Like there's always criticism every year, nothing new to the games. I think that'll always be the case. Something as broad and dynamic as we're setting out to do, there will always be a strong opinion about what we should have done and how we could have done it better. And great. And you know what? Yeah, there's lots of lessons that we've learned along the way and things that we have, tried to improve year over year. That being said, I think that pulling off something that is, there's a template for it, but it's unique every year. There's something to be said about that, and something to be said for the mindset of the people that want to engage in that, both as an athlete and they pursue that headlong and say, hey, yeah, I'm up to the challenge where I don't really know what the final event's going to be, but like throw me in there. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And same from the community aspect of that, where it's like, hey, yeah, I'm somebody who's going to take time off work and away from my family to come and like, I don't know the length of day. Like they, those volunteers that are coming out, they don't know the length of the competition days. They don't know the schedule yet. Mm-hmm. They're just showing up to be there and to be adaptable. And I mean, I think it's so cool. So again, rambly answer, but hopefully that illustrates just, the respect I've got for a lot of these people, because it's such a selfless thing to come out and be a part of, so it's very cool.
Yeah, no doubt.
You mentioned lessons learned. What lessons have you learned about what you need to do to be the best that you can possibly be at programming these events?
Simplify, I think, is the big one that I would come back to. It's easy to have like a really cool idea or something that you think is unique and then get locked into that and think that you have to do it that way, even after you've pitched it to other people and they're like, yeah, I don't really get it. You know what I mean? It's important to come back and strip things down to their essence as much as you can, because that clarity has to come through. You get one shot at it, right? And again, we talk about the uniqueness of this event. It's unlikely that the set of events that we're doing at this year's games are going to show up anywhere else in competition, maybe ever again. Maybe one or two of them, they're like, they come off well enough that you're like, okay, that's something we got to come back to in a year or two. Cool. But for the most part, none of these are ever going to be done again, right? And so that being said, for somebody who's watching at home, watching from the stands, paid a lot of money to be there as a spectator, they have to get it right away. There's only one shot for that. And so if it's something that's like, no, trust me, after you sit through your 10th baseball game, you're going to get it. It's like, you don't have that time. You know what I mean? Like they get one event to be able to see, oh, I see this guy's winning and I understand why he's such a badass for winning. and that's only going to come through if it's like a simple execution of something really raw. So
take it or leave it. When you said that, I immediately think of what's just been announced so far on Farrington Field, the Friday night light stuff. It just seems like it's going to be an ESPN window, and so far what we have gotten seems fairly straightforward. Blink twice on your right eye if I'm onto something here, but but other than that, touching on that little, I guess maybe even just a little bit of a theme. It seems like after the fact, and usually we have a chance to chat with you or Dave or someone like that, and some themes do arise. You think about a year in particular, you're like, yeah, this kind of painted some of my thinking, or the program in general. Is there anything that stands out to you as like an early theme of, whether it's the environment or the venue or the year or whatever it may be that kind of pokes its head out?
I mean, as much as I can reveal at this point, I think I would agree. I think there's a theme of simplicity and just kind of keeping things really straight up in a lot of ways. There'll be some twists and turns. It's the games, there always has to be, but yeah, it's going to be pretty straight up in a lot of ways. And I think that's pretty fun. I have to laugh sometimes. I'm very much like, hey, let people decide. And, I don't want to dictate what Sean thinks is cool or what Tommy thinks is, lame or whatever. But I do have to laugh when you get some criticisms around like, oh, people doing a foot race, how boring. I'm like, what are you talking about? That's been one of the most compelling events in human history. Maybe not that distance specifically, but it's like, dude, since people have been alive, it's like 3 things that make them really, really interested in competition with one another. It's foot racing each other, fighting each other, and throwing things. Like, that's it. That's existed since we've been upright. You know what I mean? So anyway, whatever.
I mean, the first Olympic event technically was a foot race, basically the marathon, right?
Yeah, there you go. So anyway, I can't wait for Farrington. I think it's going to be absolutely nuts. And like, yeah, I think it's going to be, in retrospect, like, you guys come back to this interview and maybe I'm way off base, but I don't think I am. I think in retrospect, people are going to, after seeing those races and the drama that is going to unfold, I'm very confident in that. I think people are going to come back and be like, dude, that was a spectacle.
I mean,
yeah,
I'll give you credit.
And I think it'll be one of those things too. Another illustration where it's easy to take a look at something on paper and be like, boring, next. But then when you see the athletes apply themselves to it, you see the drama of the races unfold, you see where we're at in the competition and the point spread, and who's going to be at risk the next morning of getting cut and stuff like that. Like, it's a very different environment when you start getting into the competition and you're out of this abstract world of just what it looks like on paper. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I'll give you credit for just that, because I remember a couple of years ago when you were talking to us about the sandbag clean event, and you're like, in a vacuum, this may not look like much, but when you add the competitive fire and what's going to happen on the competition floor, like time and time again on testing, like, this is what a lot of people came back to. And I remember I was on the floor looking at it, and I'm like, I don't know, man, I don't know. And then as soon as athletes,
I was doing the same thing, Tommy.
and it was like a perfect slow burn, right? Like, once it started to whittle out, as soon as athletes had to like give like almost like a second hitch in, you're like, oh, they're in for it, because I see the bags that are still out there. And then it just became one of the more awesome events I can remember watching live. And it didn't start out that way. It didn't look that way on the outside, but the effort and the simplicity of it ultimately, you gave it some juice. That and your little bring it out. The old
well, hey, talk about best laid plans. I mean, that's a great example of how, hey, like we ran through that a bunch. We had some of the strongest athletes in the field tested that year and couldn't get past the 340 under like relatively fresh conditions. You know what I mean? And so to have that kind of, WWE moment where we pulled bring it out. It was pretty great.
It probably would have drove people like nuts online and people would have had, someone would have got canceled. But I feel like if you would have had them like labeled like Fat Man and Little Boy, like as the two nukes at the end at the end that you got to get through, like I don't know, maybe that's me. I'm a history guy.
It's always next year.
Yep. There you go.
Boz, if people are on the fence, but I don't know if I want to watch a team competition, I think I want to focus on the individuals. What would you say to that person to be like, no, you're going to want to tune into this?
I think that the team dynamic is something that you don't see on the individuals, and it's worth watching. I think that's one of the most compelling things for me beyond the events is just the team psychology. And you can see it. It's so raw on the competition floor when you have a team that works well together. It's like there's this nonverbal communication that they're just all in sync. And then you also see that come out when you have a team that is so good and so, I don't know, just in sync with each other that when the chips are down, they lift each other up and they're able to recover. I think that's one of the most impressive things about the team comp, because there's always going to be moments where it doesn't go exactly as you planned, and how a team reacts to that, I think, is critical. You don't get that necessarily with the indie comp because it's just one person.
Right.
So that kind of, I don't know, teamsmanship is great. And I'll also say, hey, for just some of the TV factor, there's some great blowups on the team too. When the chips are down and things aren't happening well, and you get a team that just, it's like clear that somebody's not holding their end and there's some bad vibes going on. I mean, I don't want that for anybody out there, teams, but man, sometimes it's fun to watch.
It is.
Who doesn't love a teammate getting dragged like physically by like their standard issue shirt and strap or whatever? But I guess my last question pertains more to like the experience as a whole. I mean, it's not a trade secret that the team goes out for site visits, and checks out the venue at large. And I'm curious, any clue into what the experience from a spectator fan, just environment and vibe is going to be once we get to Fort Worth? Because there was very distinct differences between the ranch and Carson and Madison, and now we're going to a new arena in a new city.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked. Yes, it is going to be different. And so, those that were with us in Madison shouldn't expect a Madison experience in Fort Worth. It's going to be different. And one of the big differences is that we've got this huge free fan experience that is separate from the ticket holder experience. So ticket holders get the premium experience, right? They're going to have a ton of events that only they get access to, to watch from their seats in the stadium, which is going to be awesome. But if you're somebody in the Fort Worth area, or you want to come into the Fort Worth area, there's a whole free fan experience that's going on at the Will Rogers Auditorium just down the road. It's within walking distance of Dickies. And that's where the vendor village is going to be. That's where people are going to have all their different activations. There's going to be spectator workouts. There's going to be, seminars happening there from some of the CrossFit Level 1 staff and things like that. There's going to be workouts that you can do that are going to mimic some of the events that the athletes are going to have to do, which is cool. So there is a ton of free stuff for people to get involved with. And our hope is that we can use the games as a catalyst, not just for people that are already deep in this world, like we are. Like, this is something we look forward to every year. We already know what it's all about. We understand the power of it. But I can't tell you how many times I've been at the games with somebody who's there for the first time, and they're like, holy crap, I had no idea just how powerful this stuff is. Hopefully we can recreate that for somebody who doesn't know enough about the event or wasn't able to get a ticket or whatever. They can come and feel that in this free experience, regardless of their, overall experience with CrossFit, or whether or not they were able to get a ticket to the big dance. Yeah. So that's what I'm really excited about, is seeing how that plays out.
Boz, thanks so much for taking the time, man. And we're really looking forward to seeing how it all does play out in Fort Worth and what you guys do with the new venue, and looking forward to hearing more details on events, so more debate can take place online. But
yeah, man, stay tuned. They're coming, and I can't believe that we're, I'll be traveling out a little over a week here, so it's all systems go.
All right. Well, best of luck, and thanks for all you're doing. And again, looking forward to seeing the finished product.
Thanks, guys. Good to see you.
Okay, let's get into the final portion of our show. We're going to break down the team competition, and we brought in some help, someone who knows a lot about the team competition. She's a 2-time Affiliate Cup winner with CrossFit Mayhem, has been on the team podium 4 times in her career at the CrossFit Games. She's Andrea Nisler. Andrea, thank you so much for doing this. How you doing now that you're 4 months into motherhood?
I'm good. Sleeping like 10 hours a night and definitely getting all my meals in. And like I have so much free time. It's amazing. My house is spotless. My life is dialed in.
Nice. Yes. I said that with a straight face. That was really good.
Yeah.
I know you. If people are just listening, they were really sold on that, Andrea.
Yeah.
Well, now I totally lost my train of thought. I should. That's what I want to say. We should remind people that you are going to compete at the Masters CrossFit Games as an individual. So still competing. You're only a first degree master, right? 35 to 39. Yeah.
Yep. I made it by 10 days.
Yeah. Barely a master.
Wait. I think we also need to acknowledge that you did qualify for the individual semifinals this year.
Yeah. That would have been too soon.
Yeah.
But yeah, technically.
Absolutely. But just so people know, you could have still hung out with the elite division.
Okay.
No, I'm excited to join the Masters. I've been watching them from afar for a while, so
we're
in it.
Masters athletes are unbelievable because of all the reasons that you just stated, of everything that you have going on in your life, and they have careers and families and things, and they're still maintaining that level of fitness is incredible. So
yeah, it is. And like, I mean, as you start to age, obviously, like some of these movements get harder. Training, like you have to take a different approach. You don't wake up refreshed every day like you maybe used to in your early 20s. Yeah, it is actually like really amazing. I think once you get up in the age groups too, those people are so cool.
Yeah. I have a question about the team competition before we jump into our little buy or sell segment here that we like to do as we preview competitions. But having all the team experience that you do, what is the one thing that people overlook the most when it comes to like how important it is to be successful at the CrossFit Games?
I think people overlook how important it is to be this sounds stupid, a good teammate and not a good individual. Like people see teams with people that like, oh, they were so good as an individual, like they're gonna be so good on team. It doesn't mean that. Like just because your fitness level is high, that's great, but you need to have more awareness. I've noticed a lot of the individuals, they can't, once they're in a workout, they kind of just get in that zone where they're not like aware of the other people they need to work out with. So just having a big name doesn't mean a big team.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ooh, that I feel like that's foreshadowing some of your answers, and I'm so excited.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because a lot of the times you hear about, well, who's the leader and that, but you very rarely do people talk about, well, I'm not the leader, but I know I'm going to be a teammate, and these are the roles that I need to I guess fulfill in order to make sure my team is as successful as possible. So
and you want everyone kind of to have the same skills. Like it would really suck if like your females were really strong and then your males were really weak but good at running. So that means you bombed 2 events instead of maybe just 1. Nice blend.
Well, you certainly, I mean, those Mayhem teams were just unbelievable when you guys were doing your thing at the games. It was a lot of fun to watch. But let's get into this. So we're gonna do buy or sell. We got an over or under here. We'll start with an over under. So this is going to be the first one. We have an over under because Tommy's a big gambling guy, so we got to do over under. Over under of 1.5. So there can be no ties here. 1.5 non-US teams on the podium. So Tommy, since you are the degenerate of the group, I will let you can start with this one.
Thanks. It's quite the lead-in. So just to clarify for everyone at home, under means you think 1 or fewer non-US teams. Over, you think at least 2 non-US teams are going to make it. If I'm looking at history as my guide, I'm going to hammer the under here. I'm going to take under. In the history of the team competition, only once has 2 non-US teams shared the podium at the same time. That's 2021. Oslo and Ganas. Also, I believe it was that was the year that Andrea was on top of the podium overall. But I think in this modern era of when the team structure switched to 4 athletes, 2017 was the first year, and then by 2018, it really felt like the 4-person teams had kind of taken hold and people were starting to understand the dynamics of it. The U.S. has taken 10 to 15 podium spots since then, and the lion's share of the European spots were done by Oslo Navy Blue. And one of their members is on a U.S. team now. So I just think that with the condensed talent at the top for the teams, I think the U.S. is going to take at least 2 spots.
Okay. Andrea, what say you?
Oh, I was confused by the 0.5. So if a team has someone from, say, Norway, does that count as like a quarter or
I
no?
think it's where they are based.
Yeah, it's where they are based. Yeah.
So I'm going to go under then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Lauren.
Oh yeah, definitely under. As much
Going
as
under.
Oceania and Europe have some really good teams this year, I just don't see them taking 2 of the podium spots.
Oh, I kind of want to
One,
be the outlier.
maybe one. Come on, do the opposite, Sean. Let's hear the debate.
Because the problem is that this answer then will now mess up answers that I have for questions that are coming later. Right?
Or you could be like a degenerate like me.
Hedging my bets.
We call it middling and hedging.
Yeah. No, I think I'm going to go under on this one too. I think there are a couple teams that certainly have potential from Europe and Oceania to definitely be inside the top 5. But when you look at sort of the top 2 teams going into semifinals, and I think probably coming out of semifinals, they are Invictus and Peak 360. And way back, we took a look at why do quarterfinals matter for the teams, and it is a small sample size. But the team that wins quarterfinals winds up either first or second at the CrossFit Games. And the team that finishes second is usually somewhere 4th or better.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's going to be hard to, unless something really crazy happens, to knock out Peak 360 and Invictus in 2 of those top 3 spots. Maybe someone slides in second, but I don't know. They seem to be the strength. So I'm going to go under on that. Okay, we're all in agreement. I think we're all going to be in agreement on this one. So this will segue nicely into our next question, and that is buy or sell. Invictus and Peak 360 will be the top 2 teams. It doesn't matter what order, but they will be first and second. Lauren, we'll start with you.
Oh, I am buying this. I'm going to Vegas. I'm going to the casino. I'm putting everything on black and letting it ride for the buy.
And then she's using that for a dinner showing at Thunder from Down Under.
And I'm going to invite Andrea to come with me.
We've done Vegas together. I'll come. That's fun.
I know it. I know you're a good time to go with me. So
always down to go.
We're going to gamble there, and we're going to go to our show.
Okay, well then, Andrea, if this were a prop bet in Las Vegas, would you be buying or selling this?
So sorry, sell. So like
you're selling this. So you don't think they're going to be the top 2 teams?
No, I'm going to throw this one out there. Not as bad karma, but there's going to be the yips somewhere. Something's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Okay.
With what team?
Oh, I don't know.
360?
I didn't have one in mind, but there's going to be some big one event. Something big's going to happen. And they're going to be back and forth, and then one of them's just going to drop.
Oh,
okay. I like it.
That's so funny because I wrote down a note for myself is the only way this doesn't happen is a massive execution mistake. Mm-hmm. And that's like right in line with Andrea. And I don't want to jinx someone by mentioning names. I'm not going to say it.
I know who you're going to, yeah.
But it's like, I don't know. It's like the demon in the corner of the room. You're just like, I know it's there and I don't want to acknowledge it. I'm not going to look at it, you know.
Or something could happen, like someone just can't stay on a paddleboard, like for whatever reason, like they're just they just can't do it, and like just fall.
Oh, that would suck.
That is a monster paddleboard, by the way. That thing is gigantic.
I did, yeah. It looks fun, but
not interested?
No. But just what's wrong with swimming? Why can't we just swim?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah.
Well, in this way, this is easier from a broadcast standpoint if we're going to put numbers on things to identify the team, because that's true. That was always a nightmare. You got 400 people in the water and they're all wearing the same color. It's like, we think that's this person, but we're not sure.
They always give the team that got first the year before, if they show back up, a different color swim cap. And
that is true.
Like an idiot.
Yeah, that is true. That's nice.
First event, like you just look like that.
One team.
Yeah. They did that to us one year, and I just like people are like, oh, they think they're special. I was like, no, they're forcing us to do this. It's not my choice.
May as well put a big target on that thing.
It's like having like the hall monitor badge across your chest in grade school.
Like I didn't choose that.
Up in the locker. All right, buying or selling, Tommy?
I am gonna buy it just because these are two teams that everyone is in their location. Invictus is pretty much a homegrown team from here on out. Like everyone's been training in their affiliate for the last couple of years. Everyone from Peak 360 moved there. And as far as I know, relative to some of the other teams in Europe and Oceania, no one is having to travel on a regular basis to do that. So where some of the components might be new, they've had plenty of time spending time in the gym together, training, and testing out. And I'd be interested to hear Andrea's take on this. But where they're at, they readily have all of the outdoor games elements and sun exposure, heat exposure stuff at their fingertips instantly. Like they don't have to travel for this. I know Royce Dunn's team is in Tennessee right now. They haven't had to uproot to travel, anything like that. It's like, hey, we wake up in our own bed. Let's go do this. Come home at night.
So you're buying. We're gonna split on this one. I'm gonna sell this. I think this is too easy. Something's gonna happen. Something always happens. Whether it's a weird injury, a weird event, an execution error, some team is performing better than the other. I don't think it is that cut. I think. Look, I bought the fact that I do think that they will both be on the podium, but I just don't think they're going to be the top two. I think one will win and one will finish third.
Yeah. Once you put the yips out there,
I hate to say it. I don't want to jinx myself either.
Yeah.
Well, and it's like every year, and regardless of the division, we always try to like predict and look at things based on, okay, what happened in semifinals and who's been doing well. And every year it's like, well, you may as well just throw in a dart because you didn't see that coming and didn't see that coming. And I think with the teams especially, it can be that way. And I think Europe has closed the gap, and I think there are some European teams that will put some pressure on the top three. But I don't know. I'm not gonna buy the fact that these are our top two teams. I don't think it's gonna be that clean. All right, so we're split on that one.
Yeah,
we're split. Okay, let's do this next one. Okay, buy or sell. We'll start with Andrea on this one. CrossFit Mayhem, the new iteration of CrossFit Mayhem, will finish inside the top five, and I am efforting their roster.
Angelo DeChico, Zoe Jones, Sam DeMeester, and who's the last one? I'm sorry, I just blanked on it.
I'm looking. Hang on. Molly McGrandy.
Yep.
Sorry about the loud semi trucks. Some of them drive by. I'm outside of the gym right now. I didn't make it home in time.
It looks very picturesque. No problem.
That's okay.
We're in a nice picnic area.
There you go.
It's beautiful.
So it's the Mayhem, like a home affiliate team, not like all the other.
Correct. The one out of Cookeville.
Who's up?
Will they finish inside the top five? Buying or selling Mayhem finishing inside the top five?
I'll say sell to light a little fire under them.
Oh man.
There are also like, I was trying to think, there are a handful of really good other teams too. I mean,
yeah.
Yeah.
But and you being on that roster, that team has been such a fixture inside the upper echelons of the team competition, and now we have a new kind of a new iteration of it. But they finished second in the East in semifinals.
They finished second in the East.
Yeah. I could be very wrong.
I like that though. Lighting a fire.
I think for them it depends too on like what the events are, obviously. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Was there ever anything that you guys were like, I mean, I guess probably not with your level of fitness, but where you would say, man, I hope we don't see this, or I hope we really see this?
All the circus stuff, like the ramp, the weird handstand stuff, double crossovers. You give those to me, I'm done. I get last place. Handstand ramp. Sometimes I just freeze up on that thing. Non-traditional CrossFit.
Got it. But stuff that you're doing on a regular basis inside the gym, I'm sure you guys were like, yeah, we got this, no problem.
Yeah.
Were you paired up with Rich when at that, what was it, 2021 or 2022?
Wall walk thruster.
Yeah, the wall walk thruster event on that last set of thrusters.
Yeah, it was pretty close because I failed one or two.
I remember that.
I think I failed like 2 or 3.
Yeah.
When you hit that last set, and I remember you guys hanging on to get the win. How was that communicated to you that was going to happen?
I think it got a little mixed here. I'm pretty sure I communicated that because I was so angry at myself.
Oh, I love that.
Like on the wall walks, I was like, just let them go because I'm really bad. I've worked really hard on wall walks since then. They get me so tired, but I'm better now. But so yeah, like once we got done with the wall walks and it was the barbell time, I was like, all right, let's just go all 7. I think it was like a mutual agreement.
Got it. But you were the one who initiated it.
I mean, yeah, I think it was nice too because like Rich was a really good teammate and we could kind of like communicate via just like looks and not always words.
There you
go. So we kind of meshed well that way. That's why I think we were partnered up a lot for things. So
it's like the last
understanding.
Yeah. It's like the last scene in Fast and Furious when he pulls up next to Vin Diesel and they don't say anything, but they just kind of nod like we're racing. We're doing this.
I've never seen it, but I believe you. I don't do race car stuff.
Welcome to my life.
I like rom-coms.
Me too, Andrea. Thank you.
Wow. Did you guys just become best friends?
Oh man.
Yeah. Well, we didn't.
I was gonna say we solidified it in Vegas.
There you go. Okay. Tommy's up next. Buy or sell. Mayhem inside the top 5.
Oh man. So I was looking at this. They finished 7th last year with a couple athlete swaps. And a couple of teams that were ahead of them are out. Move Fast, Lift Heavy is out. The Oslo Navy Blue team is out. I think they're going to finish 5th on the dot.
Ooh.
To me, that's like, so I'm going to buy it. Something about this team, I think, is going to value not being one of like the headlining 3 to 4. And they're going to play small ball. They're going to just chip away at events, rack up 7th, 8th, 9th, and then all of a sudden you're going to be like, oh, they're in contention, somewhat. And then, and then I don't know, Angela's going to stroke that mustache of his if he still has it, and then work some old timey magic.
All right, Lauren.
I also have buying this, but placing them as the 5th and final team to get in, and. Yeah, I think Angelo's experience and even the relationship that he has with Rich, I mean, you can't duplicate experience and like learning from some of the best. And I think that will play in their favor, especially as we see how this team works out against the rest of the field.
Okay. You know what? I'll side with Andrea again. I'm going to sell this. I think they're 6th. 6th or 7th seems about right to me. So we'll just keep it interesting. We'll split on that one. Okay, let's do this one. This is not a buy or sell. This is an either or question. Who's going to be the top affiliate between Invictus and Norway? Meaning, who will have 2? So Norway's got 3. Invictus has got 2. What 2 teams or what affiliate will have the 2 teams finish the highest? So whether it's like a 5th and a 10th, or so what affiliate will have the combination of the best finish between their top 2 teams? That was a convoluted explanation, but that's the question.
Would it be the average?
No, I think it would be the average. Okay, best average finish between
the average. If we have
added together, you could.
Yeah, you could just do like points per placing, right? So like if you have like a 1st and a 7th, it's 8, right?
Yeah. Norway has 3. You said. Sorry,
yeah, but so it's their top 2.
Yeah,
you just
they get to drop their bottom finish.
Yeah. Norway gets to drop their bottom.
Okay. That's fair.
I'll start. I'm going to go Norway. I think Norway. Right. I think the European team scene is starting to arrive. And Tommy, you mentioned at the top here about European teams finishing on the podium. Well, that's pretty much a recent phenomenon. And I think another one might do it this year too. But I think Norway edges them out for this. That's my pick. Lauren.
I also had Norway, but I'm just worried that the Invictus team that's going to be on top of the podium or in second on the podium, like that average is just going to push them up. So while I want to go with Norway, I'm going to go with Invictus.
All right, Andrea.
I'm going to go with Norway just because people aren't talking about them like they do Invictus. And that always gave me like an extra little like edge. I really wanted to like prove everyone we were there. So I think Norway's going to come with guns blazing.
Agreed.
Oh, I love it.
Tommy.
I like that. I think I'm going to go Invictus here just to kind of even it out a little bit. That Unconquerable team is very, very good.
Yes.
They have some. There are like the Avengers, like their ace in the hole was always like, let's just let loose the Hulk. It's like a powered up
Never seen
Thor
it.
or Hulk just comes in and like they have some athletes. Of course, Andrea is shaking her head. No, she's like, yeah.
Neither
This is
one
when
of
I
us-
answer emails. Yeah, when
Yeah.
they start making
Yeah.
movie references, I'm like,
You know,
okay.
Eat, Pray, Love. When
Or
Yeah.
Love Actually.
Well, like,
Love
Love
Actually, great
Love
movie.
Actually, yeah.
related to
I love you, man.
All right.
Okay,
Perfect.
all right. How
Thank
about
you.
in
Now
Love
we're back.
Actually, the kicker at the end when the little kid goes to see the girl he has a crush on at the airport, and she actually comes out and gives him a kiss, and that's like the turning point for him in his heart. I think that's the case. I may have.
Really confused right
Yeah,
now.
sorry. I'm just muddling this all up with mixed.
Sorry, I
movie
was trying
references.
to include everybody in the
I-
conversation.
Yeah,
Go back to the
I think they have some athletes on their roster, particularly Hannah Black, that can go out and be a difference maker in some of the power events or something even like a lifting event that can turn the tide for someone. And a lot of times lifting events have you get a couple of attempts tops, or there's a time window. So execution and being able to hit high percentage lifts in a very short time window or with few attempts is important. And having someone that snatches 100 kilos and is one of the strongest athletes period out there, I think is a difference maker.
Okay. That's everybody, right? No, Andrew.
I went. I said
You did.
Norway.
She said Norway.
Okay. I was looking something up. I got distracted.
Sorry, my
I
Love
was-
Actually reference got you all
There was
spun out.
there was a little.
There was.
Yeah, a little.
Okay. So
A
we
little
got
yip.
two more. Yeah, right. Execution error. Out of the three, we're calling these non-power regions. So Asia, Africa, or South America. Who will have the highest finishing team among those three? Tommy, back to you.
Ooh. I am gonna go. I'm gonna go Asia. I just want to confirm first, though, because
Nope. Wrong answer.
You confirming?
And
Oh.
I know your reason is the same as mine, but they will not be there.
it will not be there. Okay, that's why I
The
was confirming.
Kolesnikov team, they could not get visas, I think it was. I'm actually in the midst of trying to load a page, but it won't. They're
Again?
not on the games roster. Yeah. But otherwise, that would have been my pick.
Same here.
Yeah. Okay. So that would have been my pick. Otherwise, outside of that, I'm gonna go South America. Then
Okay.
will be my pick. I think, and this is more of without like having in-depth knowledge of each individual person and component on the team. I think the South America talent pool in general has been rising. The base of affiliates and athletes and the capability of that region with access to affiliates, training, stuff like that has been going up more and more. So,
Quick question. There's a street cleaner coming. Is that really loud? Can you guys hear that?
No.
no,
Thank-
No.
Okay,
Oh.
never mind.
Yeah. Thank you, though. Appreciate it.
Am I?
Yeah.
Street cleaners.
Good times.
but
Really, they have
yeah,
all day.
Yeah.
No,
I-
Sorry, keep
Yeah.
going.
and I think there's some teams like the Victoria CrossFit or the AR1 Mayhem Unity that have some really talented individuals that have spent time on teams too. That I think if we're looking at just to try and like maybe make the cut as the top finisher there from some of these developing regions, they have components to do that.
Okay. Andrea.
South America.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like they're always so like they got a lot of fire and energy.
They do. And their
Bring
fans
the
are
fire and
fantastic.
energy. Yeah.
Did you ever get to compete down there at all?
Nope.
Oh,
Well,
it's something else.
It is.
it'd
The
be fun.
environment is-
Yeah.
It is ridiculous.
I just-
Okay. Lauren.
Africa.
Africa.
Yep.
Okay. Why? Defend this answer, please. Or are you just throwing it out there to be a...
You're a big Toto
You know
fan.
what? The answer is the answer.
The answer is the answer.
Big
Okay.
Toto fan.
Do you even know
The
that
answer is the
reference?
answer. Final answer.
Oh, I love that song.
The Wizard of Oz.
No. Oh,
Oh.
Jesus, Lauren.
Okay. Okay. We'll just,
What's the song?
Yeah. Toto
What
Toto
song?
sings the song
Bless
Africa.
the rains down in Africa.
Bless
Oh,
Down in
yes. Okay, thank you. I don't know artists. I don't know names. Pop culture, who knows?
Well, it's 40 years ago that song I think came out, if not more. So.
And Weezer
Okay.
redid it as well.
Did they really? I did not know that.
Yeah. They did.
Okay, I'll have to check that out.
Call.
It's a decent
Nice.
remake, but it's not great.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's probably better. Probably better than the original. I'll go South America as well. I feel like that is also a scene down there on the team side of things that is starting to emerge. I think Mayhem has had a big reason for that, and Facundo working with the athletes down there has definitely gotten that scene more organized. And if they bring any fans with them, it's going to be a scene, and they will have some motivation to, I think, perform in front of that crew. So I'm going South America. But had Kolesnikov, they are awesome.
Yeah.
Had Kolesnikov managed to make it over, they probably would have been my pick just because they are so dominant over there. And I think that they would have some good success at the games as a result. Okay, this is last one. Here's another buy or sell. Okay. CrossFit Walleye Orca will finish on the podium. Now, they, for reference here, did not win their semifinal. They finished second at CrossFit Bristanda Krieger. But Walleye Orca does have a pretty loaded roster. And they have the Fightin' Simmons, Elliot and Jamie, Christoph Horvath, and Mia Hesketh.
Yeah. And three, I think three of them have competed at the games on a team before.
Yes.
Mia and the Simmons. But
I want to hear Andrea first.
Okay.
Well, I was just thinking about it. Kind of what I said earlier. Like, you can be really good individually. And also you want everyone to kind of have the same strengths and weaknesses. And I don't know if they do, for instance, like obviously they have I don't know. I'm going to say so.
That you're buying.
They're all very good athletes. Like, yes.
It looked like you wanted to say something that you just didn't quite want to.
Well, I just know like this Simmons, for instance, are really good at cardio, like bread and butter, but like maybe not as much into strength. For Mia is strong, so they don't really complement each other that way as athletes.
Mm-hmm.
I go with experience and if they're well-rounded. And I think this team looks pretty well-rounded. They have all the bases pretty much covered. You look at the experience. You remember the year that Jamie Green, was it 2016? She won the Open and went team.
Yep, the OS team.
Yeah.
I'm buying this. I think they will finish on the podium. I think it might be second place.
Whoa.
Hot take.
That would be fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Lauren? We'll end with Tommy.
Oh, I'm going to sell this.
Okay.
I think that, what is their team name? One moment. The Raw Iron CrossFit Mayhem Thunder team.
From down under,
with Tara Saunders, Con Porter. I think that team has a better chance of placing ahead of this team. So I do not think.
Yeah. There needs to be like a 3-word
very
limit.
long.
What is their jersey going to say? All of that?
I don't know.
The
That's team from Asia, I think they set the bar as far as like amount of words in their names. It's
some
nuts.
of them are fun.
Yeah, they are.
But not great for a t-shirt.
Supersonic CrossFit Team Secret Training.
Yeah, or like the announcers. What are they? Good luck.
Mobile Quay attack. I mean, give me a break, guys. Come on. Yeah. Three words. That's all you need. You don't need more than that.
Mayhem Thunder.
2. CrossFit, whatever the team
Iron,
is.
CrossFit.
Yeah.
Keep it simple. Tommy, buy or sell? Walleye Orca's going to finish on the podium.
I was gonna buy it until Lauren mentioned that Mayhem Thunder team, and I think they might be the one to break Oceania's curse. So Oceania has never put a team on the podium at the CrossFit Games.
Oh, fun fact.
And I think that they've only ever, I don't even know if they've ever broken the top 5 either.
I think they will break the top 5. I think that team
Yeah.
will be knocking on the door. They're going to be in
So
contention.
I think regardless, they're going to carve out some new space for the Oceania teams historically. But the more and more I think about it, that one of those 2 teams I think will be the one to crack the code. So I'm going to sell.
Okay, there you have it. Another round of buy or sell for the teams. We're going to do this for the men and the women too as we get closer to the CrossFit Games. Andrea, thanks so much for doing this. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah. So you are what's training now look like? Because you got a little while now before the massive games. It's Labor Day weekend, right? So
sure is. Yep.
Coming up.
Is the whole family going?
No. Well, first off, not to diss anyone that lives there, but my parents said we don't want to go to Alabama, and they're getting a little burned out on watching CrossFit. Plus, someone's got to watch my daughter. My husband just started working as a police officer here, so he asked for the days off. So he might not get the days off. So it may just be me coming down.
Is he doing graveyards? Is that where he's starting him on graveyards?
Oh, yeah, so he's on night shift. So it's just me and a 4-month-old at night.
That's the worst. When my wife was doing that, it was literally like she would come home and I'd be leaving.
Yeah.
And I come home and she'd be leaving. Like it's just.
Yeah, he actually just drove away. As we were on this, like, see you in a couple days.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, we're looking forward to watching you compete there. It's going to be a fun competition. Yeah. Bob and the crew at Legends, they always put on a really good comp, and I know it's going to be a lot of fun. And looking forward to seeing the facilities there in Birmingham because I know it was close to hosting the games.
Yeah, I'm excited to go to Alabama. I've never been there.
Me neither. I've driven through it. I've never been to Alabama.
Wow, none of us.
Yeah,
amazing.
Going to be a good time. But Andrea, again, thank you so much. Best of luck with your daughter, and I hope you're getting the right amount of sleep and the right amount of training so that you're at peak level of performance when you get to Birmingham.
Oh yeah, never been fitter.
All right, we'll see you soon.
Bye guys.
Big thanks to Andrea Nisler for taking the time to do that. Also, huge thanks to Adrian Bozman for talking to me and Tommy as well. Big fan of Andrea. Looking forward to seeing her compete at the Masters Games. I don't know how she's maintaining that level of fitness with the amount of chaos in her life right now. That's incredible.
She fit.
Yeah.
Super fit.
Yeah, I'll never forget when I was dropping in and I was in Davenport, Iowa. My mom, she's visiting a friend. And I went into OC3 and the 4 of that team was working out and Andrea and Taylor were 2. And I was like, oh my God, I'm in the wrong place. These people are savages. It was just like, this is next level. You see them up front and up close, like just training. You're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So yeah. Okay, let's get to community support. Tommy, what do we have?
Yeah, this one comes all the way to us from in Washington.
Okay.
Our good friend Morgan Sheppy. She's a coach at Imperial CrossFit in Kent, Washington. Last year, Washington State passed a law requiring all fitness centers to have an AED. So she actually came across a foundation called the DP Foundation, which you're seeing a fundraiser for. They provide AEDs in the community for free. The foundation is named for Daniel Phelps, a former University of Washington soccer player who died from sudden cardiac arrest when he was 27. His college best friends created this foundation in his honor to honor his memory. And within 10 days, she contacted, within 10 days of contacting the CEO of the DP Foundation, their gym had an AED, a cabinet, and all the training for all of their coaches. And it was completely donated by the DP Foundation. And she, as she mentioned, they were indebted to that organization. So here's where the community support piece comes in. They're having their annual fundraising golf tournament on August 10th, 2024 at Echo Falls Golf Course in Washington. It's a 4-person best ball scramble with a dinner. You can see it right here on your screen. All the proceeds go to funding their AED donations. And if you want to get more information like what you're seeing on the screen, you can go to dpopen.org to support it. As you can see all the details on your screen now, or again, go to dpopen.org. It is August 10th, 2024. If you're a golfer, who doesn't love a 4-person scramble playing best ball? do it for a good cause, have dinner afterwards, and know that the donations that come from that in supporting AED donations are definitely saving lives out there. So
yeah, Snohomish is gorgeous. It's up where my brother lives. That's actually really close to where he lives. So
yeah,
power up there. Check it out. Looks like a great time. If you have any community support initiatives, competitions where you're raising money for somebody, where you want to get the word out, please send them to us. Send them via our personal Instagram accounts, Talking Elite Fitness. We're happy to get the details out there. Just make sure you include as many details as possible, because we always want to make sure that we are sending people to the right spot to get you the help that you need. All right, PRs and no reps. I actually have one of each. So we will start with the no reps. I'm going to no rep. So I've no rep USA soccer. No rep USA basketball. In what world, Tommy? What world do we have to win a nail biter against South Sudan?
Yeah.
This is how I know the
That's
fabric of our reality has been torn asunder, and parallel universes are now starting to intrude on our world, because there is no way. I don't care who we roll out there. We should not be beating South Sudan by 1 point.
Yeah.
What in the blazes?
They've only been a country for 13 years. To be fair, okay, none of this excuses it, right?
We're playing with two people, even LeBron and I don't know, a guy from your local rec league should be able to beat South Sudan. No offense to South Sudan. I'm sure they have great athletes, but come on, this is our sport. This is what we do. Okay. Basketball.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, it's tough.
Okay. Let's hope that does not happen again. So that's my no rep. Lauren, no rep.
I have no reps, but I do have 2 PRs.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right. So we will skip over you, Tommy.
I will subsequently add to your no rep, because the U.S. men's basketball team also was very close to Germany. There are NBA players all over the place on the Olympic rosters, and the FIBA rules are a little bit different. So I think it's going to take some time to adjust. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. But my no rep, and this is going to be another one, goes to John Fisher, the no good owner of my Oakland Athletics.
Oh, what's going on with them now?
So some reports came out now. So nothing gets the people jazzed like a 3D rendering of a new potential stadium, right? Mm-hmm. Well, information came out about how they're planning to fund the total project where the Tropicana used to be, through a combination of public funding and private investment. Huh?
This is in the stadium in Vegas?
Okay. Vegas, yes. So they're attempting to move my Oakland A's to Vegas. And turns out that his personal investment actually isn't personal investment, because he's a dirtbag, and he's actually trying to take on investors that would include a minority stake in the team. Turns out nobody wants it. Nobody wants to invest in it, because they know it's a whole just
shocking how that works.
Yeah. And right now there are a bunch of investors that apparently want to fund initiatives to either A, keep the team in Oakland, or B, keep them in Sacramento, where they're going to be playing. Yeah, where they're going to be playing for at least three seasons. However, the MLB and Rob Manfred are basically telling all these investors behind the scenes, and one anonymous investor came forward, basically saying they were told to keep quiet, otherwise they won't be considered any as part of like legitimate investors for any expansion opportunities.
Shenanigans.
So, I'm calling shenanigans on it all.
That stinks, man. You know who suffers? The fans.
Yep.
That's who suffers. All right. That team, just like the Raiders, sorry, Las Vegas, no offense to the city, the Raiders and the A's belong in Oakland, period. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. PRs. My PR is actually a PR, is going to go to one Bubba Pritchett. Mentioned him last week, 13 years old, competing in America's Strongest Team, and I think he was competing in the age group like above his. In Sacramento, California last week. I was going to try to go, unfortunately, wasn't able to make it. What do you frame deadlift? Okay, it's like the wooden frame, they put the weight on, you got a deadlift. Yeah. What do you think his lift was?
How old is he?
14-year-old?
13.
13?
I don't know. 550?
Higher.
Uh-oh.
Oh, I was thinking in the 300s at 14.
Much higher.
600?
750?
Lower than 750.
700.
700 pounds at 13 years old. There's this great.
Can you share screen? Pull them up. Pull them up. Can we see what this?
Right there.
Oh
at
my
Look at his
God.
dad, Jerry, in the back, and that he just
Look at all those barrel-chested mofos in the
Yeah.
background.
bunch of strong
my
right
God.
there.
Yeah.
You need that, you need something to be lifted. Those guys are going to take care of it for you. But yeah, 13 years old, 70 pound. I'm sorry, it was 720 pounds. Okay, 720 pounds. My God.
What?
So congratulations, Bubba.
At
We're going to see that
13?
kid on the world stage, like in a big, give that kid about 10 years. Because if he's like strongman, you don't really hit your peak till like late 20s, early 30s. If even that, get that man strength. Dang, that's my PR.
Yeah.
All right, Lauren, you have two
Okay.
PRs. Back to back.
I have two. My first one is I want to PR Sam Dancer for doing his first ever tactical games competition a couple weekends ago. He did it with Jared Stevens. And I think that he is a unique person for the sport because he put a little post on social media and kind of spoke about how he used to be very anti-gun. And it wasn't until he got into the community and just learned more about the sport and the training methodology. So I think it was just a really cool, unique perspective. And also the size of Sam Dancer in comparison, I mean, really to any athlete, but to a tactical games athlete where they just don't look like that. Many people don't look like that, but just wanted to throw a PR out to him because he's a great addition to the sport, and I can't wait to see him. Hopefully,
Sherwood
at some
once
other.
described him as being built like a baby hippopotamus.
And that was when he was at Conjugate, and he was like, bigger than he was now. He's leaned out.
Powerful man. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that his one quad is the circumference of like my entire waist.
Probably. He's
rib
gigantic.
cage, something like that. Yeah.
That's huge. All right, what's your other one?
Yoked. And then my other one that I want to PR is Amazon distributors that make like knockoff brands that are actually better than the real brand.
Wow.
I just got a pair of knockoff Birkenstocks for $26. And these things, oh my God, you would never know by looking at them. And they are way more comfortable and for like a fourth of the price. So heck yeah, baby, let's go.
Knockoff brands.
Saving money
That's a
and
first.
comfort.
Yeah. PR.
Oh my gosh. So two things. Ironically enough, I'm going to PR the Oakland A's. The roster of athletics actually taking the field, because they have scored more runs in July than any team in the MLB.
Hey, there you go.
Wow.
And their core of young guys are starting to turn the corner. Sean Rooker is like just lighting the ball up.
There you go.
Despite John Fisher's best efforts to just, I think their total payroll is less than what their payroll was in 2006.
You could buy like not even a half a Shohei Ohtani with that payroll.
Exactly. I'm also going to I'm going to PR Justice. Because Diddy just got implicated in Tupac's murder, so we might finally know who killed Tupac.
What?
Yeah.
Did that just
wait? Where did? Where is this? Send the link. I need to go down so many rabbit holes tonight.
Yep. Court documents apparently were just filed that he's been implicated in Tupac's murder. Apparently, paid $1 million to have him killed. Allegedly.
Wait.
Allegedly.
What's your source?
I'll send it to you.
11 hours ago. There's quits all over. Yeah, it's on. Let's go to People's. Well, the People's Gazette Nigeria is reporting it.
Yeah,
I think that interesting. Vibe.com, American Songwriter, The Source, Barstool Sports.
The Source is usually a hip hop spot.
Barstool is good.
All right, everyone's reporting that. Wow, that's nuts. Okay. Well, I guess we got to end on that.
I
That's
know
great.
there's nothing that's going to top that.
Entertainment news. I mean,
Wow.
it's been out for like a half a day, but I didn't know that. I'm clearly not dialed in. Okay.
I'm not dialed in with that.
Once again,
Or apparently Love Island, but I don't think you guys are either. So
I can't
I'm
even.
seeing it on so many people's social media, but I don't watch that. But I feel like now I have to.
I had just got to pretend that doesn't exist. I just have to pretend that's not a thing and just go about my life and live in ignorance that is not a thing that people watch. It's a big, because I'll lose even more faith in humanity if I just acknowledge that reality. So let's not talk about that. Do want to talk about the fact that Adrian Bozman was nice enough to spend his time with me and Tommy earlier today. So thank you to Adrian for doing that. Also, thank you to Andrea Nisler for helping us break down the team competition. We will be doing buy or sell for the men and the women in the coming weeks. We are also putting together our coverage plan for the CrossFit Games. So we'll have you covered from beginning to end there. Also going to do some cool, taking part of some cool activations as well. With some brands. So we're still putting the finishing touches on that, but certainly looking forward to what's going to be going on in Texas for the first ever CrossFit Games at Dickies Arena. So that's going to be a lot of fun. So stay tuned for that. We'll have some more interviews as well and more details to come on also some things that we will be doing in the coming months.
Mm-hmm.
All right, good stuff on the horizon. Thanks to Thirdsy, our sponsor for today, Thirdsy.com. Use the code TEF. You will save 20%. That is going to do it for Tommy Marquez and Lauren Khalil. I am Sean Woodland. Take care of each other. Be better. And we will talk to you guys next time.
Like a kiss at the start of a first date. If it's good, I don't want to wait. When the feeling's right, I'm taking everything. Don't want to start off slow just to see how it might.